Hello, hello. Welcome back to Final Album February. Today we are taking a look at Jimi Hendrix's Cry of Love. Now, some might say that's not Jimi Hendrix's final album. Electric Ladyland is Jimi Hendrix's final album. Or alternatively, didn't they release one in 2018 that would technically count to be his final album? And in this case, it's one of those 2018, that's 48 years after the death of Jimi Hendrix. It's a bit late to be putting something out like that. This, an Electric Ladyland, yes, did come out after his lifetime, did come out during his lifetime. It was the last one to come out during his lifetime. But I feel that this is his final album. However, I don't necessarily think it was the greatest way for Jimi Hendrix to go out, and I'll explain why. I do not hate Jimi Hendrix. I think a lot of his stuff is quite good. I just think the fact that he passed away before this album was finished, the work might not have even started on the final mixes by the time he died. I didn't do a whole lot of research right before doing this video, and I also kind of have to get this out quick because it's snowing right now, as I'm sure you can see. But the cry of love, the first song is Freedom. It is full of Hendrixisms. This is a good song, right? Excellent drum grooves, great lyrics, and it's almost funk. It's really good. If the rest of the album was like this and kept up the momentum of this song, my opinion of this album would be greater than it is. Some of the momentum is kept up with Drifting. It's a nice mellow tune. It's kind of got like reverse guitar sounds for flavor, but it does feel unfinished. Not quite demo level, but it feels like it needed a little bit more time in the production. I guess this was just like something they found that they were just like, hey, this is pretty finished. I don't know how else he would add to it. Let's just throw it on here. Because again, this was released 6 months after his death. Easy Rider, Easy spelled with a Z and Y, and Rider also spelled with a Y. It's another high energy rocker, and it has a fantastic solo, but much like a lot of other Hendrix songs, the vocals are kind of buried. It's not the worst example of a Hendrix song where the vocals are buried, but it's not a great one either. It's not like you can't hear anything. This isn't Genesis level buried, is what I'm trying to say. But they are buried more than you would like them to be. And then Nightbird Fling. It's a Hendrix song. It's kind of boring, because again, Hendrix is kind of one of those artists like the Beatles for me. Like, I fully acknowledge that the Beatles, were very, very innovative, but looking back, they're nothing really special. And also, John Lennon was a socialist, so I refuse to listen to them out of principle. But Jimi Hendrix, I can actually listen to Jimi Hendrix, and take something away from it, because he was a very innovative guitar player, and a lot of his influence would go on to influence, people that I listen to, more often than than him. Pink Floyd, he was a massive influence on David Gilmour. David Gilmour actually was at the mixing board at his last show, I believe, or something like that. And he also had influence on Steve Howe and, a little bit on Steve Hackett as well. So just fantastic guitarist. But in terms of the rest of his band, it doesn't really do much for me. There is organ bits that I like quite a bit from Jimi Hendrix, but it's not Jimmy playing them. My Friend. It starts with bar noise. It's a nice bluesy jam. Not much else to say about it apart from that. Straight Ahead feels like a successor to Purple Haze, except that song, Purple Haze is a great song. This song does not do a whole lot for me. Astro Man, it sounds like the rest of the album. There's not much else for me to say. However, a song that I do have stuff to say about is Angel. Angel is one of Hendrix's best songs. Listen to a live recording, it's brilliant. Listen to this version, it's brilliant. It is genuinely one of the best songs, one of my favorite songs. It helped me quite a bit after my grandmother passed away in late 2020, not due to COVID, but due to being 96. And it really did help me. And it's, it's a glorious song. It's one of those songs where it's just like, I can't explain to you how good it is. You just have to listen to it for yourself. And then In From the Storm is another great, good song. It's not, as good as Angel, but it's good. It's, on par with the first one. It's up there with Fire for me. It's a genuinely great jam. And then the final song on the album, Belly Button Window, it's back to boring, and it kind of sounds like a demo. So that's my verdict on Jimi Hendrix, Cry of Love. If you like Jimi Hendrix, you will like this album. If you're not a big fan of Jimi Hendrix, skip it. It's not necessarily an album and owning, like something essential to own. But it's not bad. I've heard better. I've heard way worse. And the next album I'm going to look at, I do think, is worse than that, because that album only has one memorable song as opposed to two. So, and it's also a lot longer than this one because it came out in the 90s. You'll figure out what it is. No, you'll learn. I'll just tell you what it is the next time. So thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please feel free to leave a like on it. If you have something to add, please feel free to do so in the comments section down below. If you want to continue along this musical journey with me, please feel free to subscribe. If you want to hear me talk about something other than music, I have a podcast with two of my buddies. It's called Dorkies. I will leave a link to the most recent episode of that in the description below. And if you want to hear what I happen to be listening to that day, or a 15-second segment at least, you can follow me on Instagram at Sean_Heaster1979. I post a 15-second segment of a song on my story there every single day. And with that, I would like to thank you all very much for watching and remind you to stay weird and keep jamming.